Everyone has a map for my wilderness, a compass for storms they've never met. They draw bright roads across my darkness, as if my shadows are easy to forget. They speak in stories borrowed from yesterday, holding their victories up like a light. But their mountains were never my mountains, and their nights were never my nights. They say you'll be okay, like it's a door I forgot to open. They say just let it go, like I haven't carried enough already. Oh, everyone has an answer, everyone knows the cure, everyone's an expert standing outside my war. If healing were that simple, I'd have been whole before. But nobody feels the weight of the heart they're speaking for. I am tired of becoming a lesson for people who need to be right. Tired of watching my pain turned into a puzzle they solve overnight. Some wounds don't bloom into wisdom, some scars don't carry a sign. Sometimes you're just lost in the ocean, with no stars left to guide. And I know they mean well, but kindness can still miss the target, when all I needed was silence and someone willing to stay. Oh, yeah. Everyone has an answer, everyone knows the cure, everyone's an expert standing outside my war. If healing were that simple, I'd have been whole before. But nobody feels the weight of the heart they're speaking for. You cannot measure drowning from the safety of the shore. You cannot name my demons if you've never met them before. And maybe I don't need saving, maybe I don't need advice, maybe I just need one honest voice to say, this hurts, and let that be enough tonight. Everyone has an answer, everyone knows the cure. understands me more than words ever could. You broke the glass and watched it fall, and asked me why my hands still bleed. You lit the fire inside these walls, then wondered why I couldn't sleep. The room still echoes with your voice, like smoke that lingers in my lungs. And every scar you left behind still trembles when your name is sung. Now you're standing at my doorway, speaking softly, speaking kind. As if you weren't the storm that left me trying to survive. Don't teach me how to breathe when you're the reason that I'm drowning. Don't tell me where to heal when you're the wound I carry now. You speak of peace so beautifully, like you've never heard me scream. How strange it is. The hand that broke my heart now tells me how to mend. You tell me time will make it fade. You tell me life goes on somehow, but every word sounds hollow coming from the mouth that made me doubt. You offer light, you offer wisdom, like none of this belongs to you. But every lesson that you're giving walks barefoot through a truth you knew. And I don't need another answer, I don't need another guide. I just wish you could see the ruins from the other side. Don't teach me how to teaching me how not to. The deepest cuts are often made by hands that claim they care, and somehow that's what hurts the most. You only saw the lightning strike, you never watched the storm begin. You saw the door when it flew open, not every time I locked it in. You heard the shaking in my voice the night it finally broke apart, but missed the 1,000 quiet moments I spent protecting fragile parts. I swallowed oceans without warning anyone, then one wave escaped, and suddenly I'm the problem. Now I'm hard to understand, now I'm difficult to love. Funny how you say that after everything I've swallowed up. One crack inside the silence, and that's the version that you keep. You never saw the years of patience, only the second that I scream. You call me complicated now, as if confusion came from nowhere, as if bruises grow like flowers without someone leaving them there. You ask me why I'm angry, like anger fell from empty skies. But every fire has a history, every explosion has a life. You keep studying the ashes, ignoring what was burned. Now I'm hard to understand, now I'm difficult to love. Funny how you say that after everything I've swallowed up. One crack inside the silence, and that's the version that you keep. You never saw the years of patience, only the second that I screamed. I wasn't hard to understand. You just preferred the version that never asked for anything, that never fought, that never cried, that never said this hurts. Now I'm hard to understand, because I finally told the truth, because I stopped translating pain into something comfortable for you. And maybe that's the difference, maybe that's what changed. I'm not harder to understand, I'm just no longer hiding the damage. You met my breaking point and called it my personality. They tell me pain is pain, and loneliness wears the same face. Maybe they're right. Maybe every storm leaves rain, but not every road is traveled alone. Some people lose their way. Some people have a hand to hold. Some people call a name and hear a voice say, I'm coming. I've never known that luxury. I learned directions from silence, built shelter from empty rooms, and called it growing up. Don't tell me we're the same, because you've spent a night alone. There is a difference between being left and having nowhere to go. No matter how badly you want it to be. You say you understand survival because life was hard for you too. But who taught you how to leave? Who taught you how to return? Who taught you how to fall apart, knowing someone would notice? I carried every version of myself without witnesses, without rescue, without guarantees. I became I became an adult. Don't tell me we're the same, because you've spent a night alone. There is a difference between being left and having nowhere to go. Support, I learned to live without it, and that's not the same. No matter how badly you want it to be. I don't need a medal, I don't need applause. I just need people to stop confusing different wounds with identical scars. Because not everyone learns strength the same way. Some of us learned it 'cause nobody came. Don't tell me we're the same, because you know what loneliness feels like, and I know what it becomes when it stays long enough to move into your bones. You remember being alone. I remember building a life there. You survived life. I survived a world that expected me to do everything alone. I know the winter won't stay forever. I know this heart will learn to leave. The trees will wear their green again. The sky will find its way to breathe. I know tomorrow has a language that today's sorrow cannot hear. I know this ache is only passing, but right now it is still here. And I am tired of pretending that healing happens overnight. So let me hurt tonight. Let these tears fall where they need to. Don't rush me toward the sunlight when I'm still standing in the rain. I know these wounds will close someday. I know this heart will learn again. But until then, let me hurt tonight. People speak of strength so often, as if it means refusing pain, as if survival means pretending the storm was never there. But I don't want to bury sadness just to make others comfortable. I want to feel it while it's leaving. I want to say goodbye in full, 'cause every tear I never cried still waits somewhere inside me. So let me hurt tonight. Let these tears fall where they need to. Don't rush me toward the sunlight when I'm still standing in the rain. I know these wounds will close someday. I know this heart will learn again. that something mattered, and I survived its truth. So let me hurt tonight until there's nothing left to carry, until every hidden sorrow finds its way into the air. I know this pain won't live forever. I know one day I'll be alright. But if healing means releasing, then let me cry tonight. Tomorrow can have my courage. Tomorrow can have my smile. Tonight belongs to the ache that I've held for far too long. I almost told you how much it hurts, how heavy the silence has become, how some mornings feel like carrying a house that was never meant for one. I almost opened the locked room. I almost let the truth be seen, but before the words could leave my mouth, you smiled and said, "You're the strongest person I've ever seen." And somehow that ended the conversation before it even began. They call me strong, like strength was something I requested, like I stood in line and chose this life out of all the lives presented. But strength was never a dream of mine. It was a language I had to learn when nobody cared, and the world kept turning. People admire the walls I've built. They call them courage, they call them grace. No one asked how many nights were buried underneath their weight. No one sees the cost of carrying what should have been shared by many hands. They only see that I survived. 'cause I never had room to break. They call me strong, like strength was something I requested, like I stood in line and chose this life out of all the lies presented. But strength was never a dream of mine. It was a language I had to learn when nobody cared and the world kept turning. Sometimes I wanna be ordinary, fall apart and not apologize, to say I'm not okay without watching disappointment fill someone's eyes. Sometimes I wonder who I would have been if strength had remained a choice instead of a necessity. They call me strong, and maybe they're right, but they never ask why. They never ask what it costs to become this version of myself. Strength is beautiful from a distance until you're the one carrying it alone. I wasn't born strong, I was simply given no other option. For years I spoke your language, the one that always put me last. I folded every piece of myself to make more room for what you asked. I learned to doubt my own reflection through all the mirrors you held high. And after hearing it long enough, I started seeing myself through your eyes. It took me years to undo a sentence that took you seconds to create. Now you call me selfish because I finally saved a place for me, because I stopped treating my own heart like something everyone could keep. Funny how the word appeared the moment I began to heal. After years of teaching me my needs were less than everyone else's, now I'm selfish for believing they're real. Do you know how long it took to stop apologizing for existing, to look into a mirror without searching for a flaw? Do you know how many nights I spent rebuilding what was broken? How many years I gave away trying to become someone easier confidence I carry now was earned, not gifted, not found, but built brick by brick from ruins that once wore my name. Now you call me selfish because I finally saved a place for me, because I stopped treating my own heart like something everyone could keep. Funny how the word appeared the moment I began to heal. After years of teaching me my needs were less than everyone else's, now I'm selfish for believing they're real. You liked me better when I disappeared inside other people's happiness, when I confused sacrifice with love and exhaustion with kindness. But I don't live there anymore. If loving myself is selfish, then perhaps that's what I need to be. Not cruel, not careless, just no longer willing to abandon myself for people who never noticed I was gone. It took me years to become my own friend. I'm not losing that again. You call it friendship, you call it jokes, you call it honesty when the room gets cold, and every laugh arrives at somebody else's expense. You throw sharp words like paper planes, then act surprised when they leave a dent. And if I flinch, I'm sensitive. If I speak, I'm taking it wrong. Funny how the rules only work one way. I stay quiet, not because I can't. I've held harsher words than the ones you've thrown. I know exactly where to aim, I know exactly how deep they go, but hurting people has never felt like strength to me. So don't mistake my silence for inability. You think restraint is weakness because you've never had to choose it. You've never stood at the edge of a sentence and decided not to use it. I know things I could say, things that would follow you for years, the kind of truth that echo long after everyone's disappeared. But what would that prove? That I can be cruel too? I don't want to. jokes are strange things. They stop being funny when only one person is laughing. And maybe that's why we'll never understand each other. You think kindness is softness, I think it's discipline. I stay quiet, not because I'm afraid, not because you've won, not because I'm